Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, no matter how much effort you put in, she still seems distant? Like there's a secret code you're missing, a set of signals that only the men she truly wants ever get to see. I'm going to tell you something most men never understand, something women are conditioned to hide, even from themselves sometimes. And if you stick with me, you'll learn the silent behaviors, the invisible cues, the subtle investments a woman makes when she sees a future with a man. But before we dive deeper, do yourself a favor, hit subscribe and give this video a like. Not because it helps me, but because it will help you notice the things no one else is telling you. You see, most men get caught in the trap of mistaking attention for desire. She can smile at you, text you first, or even spend hours with you, but that doesn't mean she's thinking long-term. The truth is, there's a difference between liking someone and genuinely wanting a life with them. And if you can recognize this difference, you step out of the endless loop of chasing, hoping, and guessing. Think about it. How many times have you invested your time, energy, and emotions into a woman only to realize she wasn't fully all in? The crushing part isn't just the rejection, it's the lingering confusion. You replay conversations, analyze her gestures, and try to decode signs that never really existed. But here's the thing. When a woman truly wants you, her actions speak in a language so clear that even the most distracted man can read it, if he knows where to look. This isn't about manipulation or tricks to make her fall. This is about understanding female psychology, the genuine, raw behaviors that reveal commitment, desire, and intention. It's about cutting through the noise of mixed signals and social games and seeing the patterns that are unmistakably real. And I promise you, once you start noticing these, your entire perspective on dating, relationships, and even self-worth will shift. Some of these things she does are subtle, small gestures that most men ignore. Others are bold, unmissable investments of time, emotion, and even vulnerability. They're the markers that separate a fleeting crush from a woman who is quietly building her emotional life around you. And once you understand them, you'll stop wasting time on uncertainty and start seeing the men's world in a way that's rarely talked about openly. The first thing you need to understand is this. When a woman truly wants a man, she doesn't just spend time with him, she prioritizes him in ways you might not even notice. Most men confuse availability with desire. She might be friendly with everyone, she might laugh at jokes that aren't funny, she might even flirt casually, but the woman who truly sees a future with you is selective. She shifts her world around you, even in small ways. She checks in when she's busy because you matter more than convenience. She remembers the details you think are meaningless. She notices your mood before you even speak. This isn't coincidence. This is subconscious investment, and it's incredibly telling if you know how to read it. But here's the brutal truth. Many men don't notice because they're blinded by their own desire. They assume a smile, a compliment, or a text means she's into them, when in reality, it could be nothing more than politeness, curiosity, or even habit. A woman who is truly emotionally invested will not just interact with you, she will create spaces for you to exist in her life intentionally. Think about it. She will include you in plans that are meaningful to her. She will share things she never shares with anyone else. She will introduce you to her world, not as an obligation, but as a declaration. You belong here. And it goes deeper than just gestures. You'll notice a shift in how she communicates. She becomes emotionally available. She shows vulnerability in ways she hides from others. She shares fears, hopes, frustrations, things that require trust. This is huge because most women guard their emotional world tightly. The fact that she opens herself up to you, that's a signal that you've crossed a threshold few men ever reach. There's also a subtle intensity in how she reacts to your successes and failures. She celebrates your wins as if they were her own and supports you through setbacks without judgment. She invests emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even financially in ways that aren't demanded of her, simply because she envisions a shared future with you. Understanding these signs is like finding the hidden map to female desire. Once you start noticing the patterns, the text you get late at night, the way she asks your opinion about her life decisions, the subtle but consistent attention. You'll realize that most of what men chase is smoke and mirrors. The truth is always in the actions she doesn't even think to hide. And once you see it, nothing about dating or even relationships in general will ever feel uncertain again. Now let's talk about something most men completely overlook: the invisible emotional labor a woman invests when she truly wants a man. It's not flashy. It's not a grand gesture you can brag about. It's subtle, quiet, and persistent, and that's exactly why most men miss it. She thinks about you when you're not around. She plans moments, conversations, even future scenarios in her head, imagining how you'll feel, what you'll like, how to make you feel safe, appreciated, and understood. This isn't just interest. This is emotional alignment, and it requires effort, attention, and energy that she doesn't give casually. Notice how she anticipates your needs before you voice them. She remembers the tiny preferences you've mentioned once, months ago, and integrates them into her actions. She notices the little things that you think go unnoticed: your favorite coffee order, the way you like to unwind after work, the tone in your voice when something's wrong. She's not doing this to manipulate or impress you. She's doing it because your happiness and comfort matter to her. This is a level of emotional investment that only happens when a woman genuinely sees a life with a man. And here's another layer most men miss: protection. I'm not talking about physical protection. I'm talking about social, emotional, and psychological protection. She will defend you quietly when others underestimate you. She will speak well of you, stand by your side in conversations, subtly reinforce your value without making it obvious. This is her way of signaling to herself and to the world that you are worth her loyalty, her trust, and her time. If she's not doing this, if she's constantly questioning or undermining you, she's not thinking long-term. You'll also notice the way she invests in her own life for your benefit. She will cultivate qualities, skills, or habits that she knows align with your values or what you admire. She will challenge herself to be better, not because someone told her to, but because she imagines a shared future with you and wants to contribute to it actively. This is rare. Most women keep their growth separate from men they're casually interested in. But when she intertwines her growth with yours, subtly, carefully, persistently, you've crossed into the territory of true desire and commitment. Finally, there's a quiet but undeniable consistency. She shows up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters most. She doesn't withdraw when life gets complicated. She doesn't only show affection when she feels like it. She stays present emotionally and mentally through uncertainty, stress, and routine. If you notice this, understand it, and appreciate it, you're seeing a woman who doesn't just like you, she's choosing you every single day. Now listen closely, because this is where most men completely misread everything. When a woman truly wants a man for the long term, she doesn't just make herself available. She invests in your stability, your world, and your identity in ways that aren't always obvious. She becomes protective of your reputation, but not in a possessive way. She elevates you. She talks about you positively to her friends, family, even casual acquaintances, because she sees a future where your value matters in every corner of her life. Notice how rare this is. Most women reserve this kind of advocacy for someone they envision building with. You'll also see it in her patience. She tolerates your flaws, not because she has to, not because she's desperate, but because she understands them and accepts them as part of the man she wants to be with. This is different from simply putting up with behavior she dislikes. It's a conscious choice to embrace your imperfections while still encouraging growth. She doesn't criticize destructively or undermine you publicly. She doesn't create unnecessary drama or tension to test your reaction. Instead, she balances honesty with care, confrontation with compassion. This is a woman who sees you as a partner, not just a source of attention or validation. Another unmistakable sign: she creates emotional intimacy that goes beyond physical attraction. She asks the questions that matter: your fears, your dreams, the kind of life you truly want. She remembers your answers. She revisits them weeks later, not to interrogate, but to show that she's thinking about your inner world. This is the kind of attention that turns relationships into real partnerships, Most men miss this because it's quiet, subtle, and consistent rather than dramatic or flashy. But this is where true long-term desire is revealed, when she invests in understanding you completely, without judgment, without conditions. She also starts making sacrifices, not reckless ones, but deliberate choices that reflect her priorities. She might adjust her schedule, compromise on preferences, or take on extra effort because she's aligning her life with yours. This is an enormous psychological marker, and it's something that men rarely recognize for what it truly is, proof that you're becoming central to her life. Finally, there's an undeniable sense of exclusivity. A woman who truly wants you will gradually close off emotional and romantic spaces for others. She stops entertaining casual attention because she's already committed internally and subconsciously to you. She doesn't broadcast this. She doesn't brag. She just shifts her energy, her loyalty, and her focus in a way that only the man she genuinely wants can feel. And once you notice it, you'll understand that all the small gestures, the attention, the subtle sacrifices, they weren't random. They were markers of a deep, intentional, and rare kind of love. Now, let's get to the part most men overlook entirely: the private, almost hidden behaviors a woman reserves only for the man she truly wants to marry. These are actions so subtle, so deeply personal, that if you're not paying attention, you'll never notice them, but they reveal more about her desire than any words ever could. First, notice how she shares her vulnerabilities. I'm talking about fears she doesn't admit to most people, doubts she's carried quietly for years, moments of insecurity she doesn't broadcast. She lets you in because she trusts you, because she sees you as a safe harbor, and because she's testing whether you are a man capable of holding her whole world without judgment. Then there's the way she invests in your emotional healing. If you've been hurt, if you've been betrayed, if you've built walls, she doesn't retreat. She engages, she listens, she asks questions, encourages reflection, and gently pushes you toward growth. Not out of obligation, but because she wants to see the man she loves become fully realized. This is extremely rare, and most men mistake it for friendship or helpfulness, missing the powerful subconscious bond being formed. She also demonstrates a profound form of loyalty. A woman who truly wants a future with you will quietly protect your reputation, defend you when you're absent, and keep your confidences sacred. She doesn't gossip, she doesn't dramatize, she doesn't use you for validation. Instead, she holds herself accountable to a higher standard because she respects you and because she sees a shared life ahead. The gestures are subtle, checking in after difficult days, remembering promises you made in passing, creating rituals or small patterns that tie her life to yours, but they are consistent and they matter. Another hallmark is her attention to the way she nurtures connection. She mirrors your energy in intimate ways, remembers your unique preferences, and makes time for conversations that deepen your understanding of each other. She doesn't just exist in your life, she weaves herself into it intentionally, seamlessly, as though the relationship is already a permanent fixture. And she does this quietly, without expectation or pressure, because the investment itself is proof of her intent. Finally, pay attention to the sacrifices she willingly makes. She won't sacrifice her self-respect or core identity, but she will compromise on lesser preferences, accommodate your needs, and adjust routines because she's already imagining life with you. It's an almost invisible form of devotion, yet it's one of the strongest indicators that she's not here for temporary attention, excitement, or fun. She's here because she's building a future, and you're at the center of it. Recognizing these behaviors is a skill most men never develop, which is why so many never understand why they lose the women they actually want. But once you start seeing this clearly, everything about relationships, attraction, and trust shifts forever. Now we reach the ultimate truth, what separates fleeting attention from a woman's genuine, long-term desire. Pay close attention, because most men never see this until it's too late. When a woman truly wants a man, she doesn't just invest emotionally, she integrates her life around him. Her priorities shift subtly but profoundly. She starts planning her future in ways that naturally include you. Vacations, holidays, career decisions, even daily routines. She's imagining a life together, long before a ring is mentioned, and every action she takes is a signal of that intent. You'll notice how she speaks about the future, casual conversations about tomorrow, next week, next year. She frames them to include you, not hypothetically, not as a maybe, but as if you are already part of the equation. She doesn't ask for permission or approval to include you. She assumes it because her heart and mind have already chosen you. This is a subtle but unmistakable form of emotional investment. Most men mistake this for friendliness or flirtation, but it's far deeper. It's the blueprint of commitment written in her everyday actions. Then there's the way she handles conflict. A woman who truly wants you won't escalate fights unnecessarily. She listens, she seeks resolution, and she protects the relationship from unnecessary stress. She doesn't play games, she doesn't manipulate, and she doesn't withdraw to punish you. Instead, she approaches disagreements with an eye on the bigger picture, your shared life. This is rare, and when you see it, recognize it for what it is, proof of long-term intention. You'll also notice her consistency. She doesn't disappear when life gets hard. She doesn't vanish when work or stress peaks. Her loyalty, attention, and affection don't fluctuate with convenience. Instead, she remains present, engaged, and emotionally available because she sees you as her partner, her equal, and her future. This level of constancy is one of the clearest markers that you are not just an option. You are central to her life. Finally, the most revealing sign of all, she sacrifices in ways you don't even notice. She gives time she doesn't have, energy she could spend elsewhere, emotional labor that is exhausting. But she does it willingly, joyfully, because she envisions a shared life. She doesn't keep score, she doesn't demand recognition, but every gesture is a thread in a tapestry of devotion. Understanding this, seeing it clearly, and valuing it, that's when men finally realize they've been given something rare, precious, and unspoken, the truth of her heart. If you can recognize these patterns, if you can read the quiet signals, you'll never be confused by mixed signals again. You'll understand the difference between a fleeting connection and a woman who truly wants to build a life with you. And that understanding changes everything.